on the bus.
Solid.
Self-medicated.
Yeah, suck back.
Okay.
Oh, you're right there.
There he is. Steve, Amanda. Most awesome coach bus ever.
I almost picked my nose.
There's the hotel. Parking. Stumbo.
Stumbo has been excited.
All of the water.
I drank this all by myself.
Really?
As eyes can see, grace brings peace. You are holy, oh so holy. You are holy, Lord. Without end.
I love it. So many people I can make friends with.
More people than Youngsville.
You took me up, now I'm set apart from the outshine of you. Forever safe and safe as hands. You are more than my words can say. I'll follow you over all my days. I'll fix my eyes following your will. Yeah, forever free in unending grace. Come on, say, 'cause you are my freedom. We lift you higher. We lift you higher. Your love is all we love. Never ending love. Say, you are alive in us. Nothing can take your place. You are all we need. Your love has set us free.
This part was my favorite part, hanging out with everyone, playing games with them, finding out who was good and not good at cornhole. Just
Not good.
It was just fun time to be able to have this area to just hang out with our free time.
My favorite fun thing was watching all the boys get thrown off of that spinning log. It was hilarious. That was my favorite.
Who was the best? Who had the best launch?
Probably Matt from McKeesport, because he was spinning and spinning and spinning, and then he went forward and he like did a complete flip. But Bryce was really good too. That was really funny. Yeah.
I really enjoyed playing with all of the bouncy house stuff in the activity center. It was super fun. We got to do like a bull ride and hit people with sticks. It was just a good time. I also found out that I'm the fastest person in the youth group at all of the bouncy house races, so yeah.
Life has been really fun, but I guess a couple things that have stood out to me were one, just meeting up with a bunch of people from Happy Camp. It's a really cool thing. It's like, oh hi, I didn't know you were gonna be here. So I'm like, hey, how you doing? And I really liked meeting up Bryce and Matt and Joe with those fighting stick things.
There's a bunch of bouncy houses, and a lot of them are mazes/races, and I beat Elijah at almost all of them.
There's a lot of escalators in this building, and every time we got yelled at because either we were doing splits, or we were sitting down, or we were facing the wrong way. Like, if you face the wrong way, you get screamed at. So we got yelled at every time we got onto the escalator, her especially. And then we would just start bursting out laughing because all the people around us were doing the same things. We were the only ones getting yelled at. It was really funny though, because at other times the security guards were really funny and cracked jokes, and it was a really light, funny thing that kept happening.
It was great. Sometimes, like once in a while when we didn't have something to do, we'd walk around the convention center where they hold the seminars and stuff. And there are, like she said, there are so many escalators. So we'd go up to one floor, back down, back up the other one, back down. And by the time we were done with that and I closed my eyes, it felt like we were still going.
So one funny thing throughout the week was when, probably when I spilled my iced tea on Bryce's shoes, and he got really mad. So that was funny. Never lived that down.
Yes, I have iced tea now too.
Oh yeah.
Stained on my shoe.
So today we went to these parks and we cleaned up sticks so that way lawnmowers could go through, and then we cleaned up a bunch of trash. It was really kind of awful because a lot of people did fireworks and they didn't clean up any other stuff. And so there were fireworks everywhere. But luckily it was nowhere near as bad as in Pittsburgh. But it was still kind of upsetting that nobody bothers to clean up their trash after them. And you should definitely clean up your trash if you leave it. Don't leave it around. I will find you.
So, I had the privilege of going to Micah Bornay's seminar about creative writing, and Micah Bornay is a spoken word poet, and poetry was something that I've always kind of liked but never really done. I've written a couple poems, nothing that great, but Micah really showed how you can use poetry to worship God, and how worshiping God isn't just singing songs, and he really inspired me to write some more poetry.
Suddenly I find myself speaking as quickly as my heart is beating, and I don't even know what I'm saying, but it's something along the lines of I love you in the manliest way possible. But if I wanted to kill myself, knowing my homie loved me wouldn't be enough incentive to stay alive, so I reminded him that God loved him too.
My favorite seminar that we went to was a heart for the city, and it's like being missional in the city. And one thing I thought was really cool about it was how you have to build relationships with people, and the speaker talked a lot about making families even if you aren't related to people. A family is like a community sort of, and you can just kind of become a family with people around you, and you have to do that before you can start talking about God.
My favorite seminar was probably the Trade-In for Soup, where he taught on that we need to think about our choices in the present, the immediate choices that we're making right now, about how it's going to affect our lives down the road.
And it was the story about Jacob and Esau, and how Esau traded like his entire future and his kids' futures and everything for his, like, immediate satisfaction of soup. It's like, wow, that was a really dumb decision, and that we make those decisions all the time. So it was really cool to just think about, like, okay, the process of how to make a decision. Is this going to be better for me and my future and my kids and my life that I'm going to live and that I've been working so hard for? Or is this just for today? But then another session talked about it in an opposite way, that you should work for now, that you should feel good now, but that feeling good and that being great isn't about earthly feeling good, it's about feeling good in the kingdom. And it was really cool because it was the immediate satisfaction of giving. It was the immediate satisfaction of being a servant.
Probably the favorite seminar I went to was the Man on Fire, because that just surrounded me and put everything that I was getting throughout the week in just one moment. It was so overpowering, so great.
I think the first seminar that we went to was Healing Your Father Wound, because dads are such a big part of the way your life is impacted. Like, they're such an important piece, and a lot of people have dads that mess up. I mean, dads are human, you know? They mess up, they don't say the right thing, they're not there, they're abusive. And so learning to deal with your father wound and realizing that God is your father, and that even though your dad might have messed up, that God can heal that and be your dad, is a really, really important thing. And I think that even if you do have a loving dad, he'll still mess up. He's human. He makes mistakes. And I think that that's really important to know that, you know, he does make mistakes, but God isn't going to make mistakes, and he's going to always be there for you and love you. I think that that was a really important thing, because I blame my dad because sometimes he messes up and I don't like it.
Half of the world's teenagers are fatherless, but on the other hand, half of those fatherless teenagers turn to God in their teen years because they realize that he's our actual father. He's the one who brought us here and who brought your dad and their dads here.
So I guess my favorite seminar would be what do I want to be when I grow up, because I don't have any clue whatsoever what I want to do. So I went to the seminar, and it wasn't so much like a questionnaire of like, you know, what are your gifts, what are your talents, then you should do this job. It was more of, I guess, it was more of like self-discovery. Like it wasn't just finding a career choice. It was finding out who you are as a person, and then just fixing that to a possible career choice.
This grueling 5K was to help raise money for a family that's trying to plant a church here in Kansas City. With $35 entrance fee, and say about 1,000 people ran, so hopefully Breed Loves have enough to build that church.
There is nothing that I have done to deserve you or the way you love me.
We did the 5K this morning, and we looked over and we noticed that there were some homeless men, actually at the time just one, and we had brought the care packages.
So we just stepped over and started talking to him, asked him about his life, what his situation was here, what he was doing here, where he's from.
He's from Indianapolis.
Yeah, he's from Indianapolis. He's here in Kansas City. He's been here since March, but he's having some issues with his family. So then we sat there and prayed with him about that. We just declared peace over that situation, and that he would really strive for God in that situation, and that he would just work it out with him.
Yeah, and that his family would feel the stirring to want to heal that relationship and mend that relationship. He was very like, I'm not going to be like this. This is only for a while. I'm not going to be like this forever. This is just, I'm like, hey, you're having a rough day. Something that we can do to bless you, I hope. And he was very receptive about that. So if you think about Robert, and pray for him, that his family, that they can reconnect, and that he will have the strength to get back to God.
Your love is like
Life was really awesome because I think it like combined all of the conferences and all of the Christian things that I've done before, like creation. It has all of the really good music, the good concerts. There was the block parties. That was really fun. They also had very expensive food.
Yummy
but then
food.
it was also really spiritual. Like I really felt like I could really worship. I didn't feel like there were lots of kids just standing around doing nothing. I felt like everyone was really into it, really into the worship. So that was really comforting. I definitely did learn a lot, which is something that I don't always do at youth conferences, but this one was really good.
A couple of things that really stood out to me this week are, one, how I feel about worship. I had like a pretty strong opinion about the way I thought worship should be done, because, you know, I like to shout and kind of expound a lot of energy, because I feel like that's the way I like really give to God. But after attending a seminar, which was like Leading Worship 101, hearing the experiences and all the experience of the band members here this week, I really sort of understood that people worship God in different ways, and it's not always super loud, super up-tempo. Sometimes it's really slow, but the words that they're singing mean quite a lot more than just screaming at the top of their lungs, something that could be quite repetitive.
The first session we went to was about things not being an accident, and that just made me think a lot about all the things in life that could be considered an accident but aren't. And then the other thing was I got sick yesterday, and I've been able to get better rather quickly. And I was able to run this morning, and that's
like the first night, the day we got here, we had our first session, and Francis Chan was the speaker, and he was talking about how it was just nothing's an accident. Being there wasn't an accident, how we were all created for a specific reason. And he brought up my favorite verse, which is Ephesians 2:10. And the whole fact that being here wasn't an accident for me, because Amelia couldn't go for this trip, and at the Think Spring picnic, Steve approached me and asked if I would like to take her spot, because I originally didn't sign up to go because I had to pick between the Dominican, and my heart was just there more because my sister was down there, and I just felt like it was the opportunity of a lifetime to help all those people in need down there, and I don't know, it just felt right. And being able to go to both really helped change my perspective on how things are an accident and how they aren't.
I say the last fifth of the school year, I was having a really hard time experiencing God and feeling His presence. So for that last bit of the school year, my constant prayer was just that He would make Himself known to me so that I could feel His presence. And teen camp at Mahaffey a couple weeks ago, that prayer was answered, and I really felt God's presence, and I felt like I was at a spiritual high, and I couldn't get much closer to God. But here this week, I realized and I learned that you can never stop getting closer to God. There's always more of Him that you can take into yourself, and there's always more of Him that you can grow close to, and because He's infinite. You can never reach a true spiritual high point because there's always more of Him that you can lean into.
God's always reaching out towards us, and all we need to do is lean towards Him a little bit more, and He shows us so much more of Himself. And then, once we get that realization of Him showing us Himself, we can keep getting more and more.
The main thing that I took away from this week was absolute surrender and giving my entire life to God, or as the metaphor we learned in was giving Him the car keys and not being a GPS. So that and making my faith my own was a lot that God was laying on my heart.
Yesterday, which was Friday, I woke up and I didn't want to get out of bed in the morning, and the whole day was just one kind of aggravation after another, and I wasn't really feeling it. I was like, well, why am I not feeling it? Just yesterday, I was feeling, really pumped and really close to God. Now I'm just kind of spiritually dry. And that's when I remembered in one of the sessions, it was said that love isn't always going to be easy and it takes work. And, that applies to any of your personal relationships, along with, the relationship with God, because it is a relationship. It's you talking to Him and Him talking to you. So even when you don't feel His presence, you always have to keep working and striving towards feeling God, because it's not always going to be like a given. It's like, okay, yeah, I feel it. You have to make that effort to have contact.
I was called to missions. The first time I remember was when I was 8 or 9. And I think it was because a bunch of missions had come to Wywen, which was like our local missionary spot. It was kind of everywhere. But, I had always been around missionaries, and so I really felt like that was what I was going to do. But I was so scared to leave my family and to leave everyone I loved that I couldn't pursue it, and I rejected it. And I have been in denial of it and fighting it and saying really awful things like, no, I don't believe in the faith. And I kept getting away from it because I really, really, really didn't want to leave. I didn't want to go away outside my comfort zone, even though I know that I had it in my heart. And so when it came to life, I was surrounded by all these people who had similar ambitions, who wanted to go and save people's lives and wanted to worship God, and I couldn't ignore it. I really do have a passion to save other people's lives and to bring them, and I really do want to be a missionary. And so there was a call, a commission to go up and be commissioned, prayed for so that we could be sent out. And I was just sitting there struggling, and I was almost crying. I was so upset. I didn't want to go up there, and I let God take me. And all of a sudden, I was surrounded by all these people, and we were just praising God, and I realized, oh wow, God just kind of took over, and now I'm up here, and I was so emotional, and I'm really glad that I did that, even though I am still kind of in shock. I want to do what God wants me to, and I want to go and help other people's lives, and it's very scary for me, but I know that it's what He wants for me, and I know that He's not going to leave me, and He's going to be there with me, and I think that's the most comforting thing I have ever heard before, that He's going to be with me, and He's not going to leave me alone, and I'm going to be able to bring people to Him and do it for His honor, even if I do die or something awful happens, and I'm willing to take that chance for Him. And I think that was an exceptionally important thing that happened in life. I didn't expect something like that to happen when I came here, and all of a sudden I'm gonna be a missionary. Oh gosh. So that was really something important that happened, and I just felt like you all deserve to know about it.